Oh my god. Okay. Good. No, probably like that. Good morning, everybody. I am Good morning. My name is Julianne, also known as Roadrunner on the Appalachian Trail. This year, 2022, I hiked the entire Appalachian Trail northbound from Georgia to Maine in about 6 months and 12 days. I documented my entire journey, so if you want to check it out, please do. But today I want to talk about gear. I want to talk about the 3 things that just did not work on the Appalachian Trail. Number 1 was my umbrella. It's not that it did not work, it clearly worked, it's an umbrella, but it just didn't work the way I had anticipated it to work. The whole idea about getting an umbrella, and I bought the one from Gossamer Gear, is that you can connect it to the side of your backpack and it somehow holds up while you are walking, and it's supposed to protect you from the rain. That just didn't work for me. I tried everything I could with regard to the connection. Every time I would walk with the umbrella, it kept getting in front of my view, and it just was a mess. I really didn't enjoy hiking with it connected to my backpack. The other thing that you could have done, or that I could have done, is just hold it with my hand. My hiking partner, Groceries, actually did that. She would just hold her umbrella with her hand and just kept hiking. Well, that really does work for those who don't have trekking poles. I used trekking poles, and so having an umbrella and trekking poles, just, you know, that's like, again, I use both of my hands with trekking poles. How am I gonna do that? So one option was put one trekking pole on the backpack and then just use one trekking pole and an umbrella. That worked like in really emergency situations, but again, I didn't enjoy it with regard to it didn't help me with my hike. And so then in the end, I honestly never used my umbrella while hiking. It didn't get cold very often to the point of where I needed to have an umbrella. Most of the time when it was raining, I just got rained on and it was honestly fine. The only time I ever would use my umbrella after that, I used it one time. We got caught in a rainstorm going up 3 ridges, and we just decided to, it wasn't even a rainstorm, it was a thunderstorm, and we decided not to go all the way up to the mountain, just stand there in the middle of the trail and wait out the thunderstorm. And so I had my umbrella and I was just standing there, and the other 2 girls didn't have umbrellas, and I felt really bad, and they were just standing there in the rain. So but that was really helpful. And then the other time I would use my umbrella when I would get into camp. When it was raining in the mornings and I had to use the privy, I would use my umbrella, and that was really helpful. I did ditch my umbrella when I visited my mother in Vermont. I felt that the weight to usage ratio was just not worth it. I'd been carrying the umbrella with me the entire time and used it maybe 5% of the time. So I ditched it and honestly did not regret ditching it. Number 2, I don't even know how to count. Okay, hold on, let's try that again. Number 2 were my Lone Peak Ultra shoes. I wanted them to work. I believed in them. I found them to be so pretty. I started out with the Lone Peak Ultras at the beginning of my hike, and I hiked all the way to Damascus, Virginia. And there I was ready to get a new pair, and I bought a different pair of shoes, which were the Olympus Ultra. And I bought them because all the other hikers recommended the Olympus because they had more cushion. And I'm telling you now, don't listen to other people. Listen to yourself, listen to what is best for you. Please, people have all these suggestions, and here I am, of course. I'm really not suggesting anything, I'm just telling you what worked for me. I switched to the Ultra Olympus. Worst mistake of my life, well, not my life, worst mistake of the hike, well, with regard to shoes. And that was a mistake. I got incredible blisters around the heel. Apparently the heel is too narrow. I have narrow feet. I do not have wide feet, so I don't know why the heel was too narrow. Groceries had the Olympus, but she bought the men's versions. It had more room, and probably I could have done that, but no, they were a disaster for me. I got so many blisters, my feet were in pain, and so I guess I was in just before Shenandoah. I decided to buy the Lone Peak again, and I was so happy. Also, I have new shoes! So I decided to buy the Lone Peaks again, and they're so comfortable. No, they are not so comfortable. I got the Lone Peak and I hiked in them all of Virginia, all of Pennsylvania. Mistake, by the way, I should have gotten new shoes in Pennsylvania. And my feet were torn up. I could not walk more than 4 miles without having to sit down, take off my shoes, and then massage my feet. I guess I had plantar fasciitis, or however you would say it. It was so bad. I also started tripping a lot more, and I started falling a lot more. And it was when I started to really fall dangerously where I decided the Lone Peak Ultra are probably not going to be it anymore. So when we had our 0 days in New York City, we went and visited an REI, and I tried on different shoes. And I first went with the Lone Peak Ultra again because I was like, oh, I guess I just need a new pair, right? Nine. And then I was like, okay, well, let me try out some other shoes. I tried on the Hoka. They just don't work for me. They feel like I'm on a roller coaster. And then I tried on the Salomon Speedcross. And it was like light came out of the sky and my feet felt they were on clouds, all cushioned. And I decided to go with them. I was a little bit worried because they do have a different drop. They have like an 11 millimeter drop versus the Lone Peak have a 0. And so I was worried about that, but in the end, why should I have been worried? I'm a ballroom dancer, I'm always in heels. Those shoes were absolutely amazing. I'm seriously considering buying 1 or 2 extra pairs because they are an old generation, so probably they won't be available in the future. And I am planning to do more hikes. Stay tuned because I have some really good hikes planned for next year. But yeah, so for me, the Speedcross worked. The Lone Peaks didn't, and I feel so sad because they were so pretty and everybody wore them and I just really wanted them to work, but they just didn't work for me. So yeah, so that's number 2. Number 3, and some of you that have watched my entire series probably know what I'm about to say. The worst gear item that I had on my hike was my rain jacket. My rain jacket, which was the Frog Togs Java Toads, just didn't work. And I went with Frog Togs because a lot of hikers take Frog Togs, but they usually get the ultralight version, which is like 20, 30 bucks. I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go with Frog Togs. I'll spend a little bit more money, like 60, 70 bucks, and probably this will be a really great jacket, right? No, it wasn't. It didn't work at all. Like I even tested it out. There's a video where I'm testing the jacket, and I'm tested it out in my shower, and it seemed to work. But of course, it seemed to work because I was in the shower for like 30 seconds. But as I was hiking, it didn't protect me from rain. One time it was storming and groceries came in late. So I got out of the tent and I helped her set up her tent. We set it up in literally like 1 minute. We were so fast. But in that 1 minute, when I got back into my tent, I was drenched under my jacket. And yeah, some people might say, oh, it's because you're doing all this stuff, but like, it's a rain jacket. It's supposed to protect me. It was drenched. It was ridiculous. And then when I had to carry it the next day, it's heavy because all the water is just soaked into the rain jacket, and it just wasn't worth it. The jacket itself is extremely heavy without water in it. Then it doesn't protect you. And then you just like carry water with you all day long. I did end up using it for wind protection several occasions, and it was nice to have it. I did ditch it after Bethel, Maine, and I never looked back. I did use a poncho in the 100-mile wilderness, loved it. It was like a $9, emergency poncho. I did throw it away because it was just an emergency poncho. So I'm definitely thinking about trying out some better ponchos, but also really looking into investing in a nice rain jacket. I'm gonna do my research about rain jackets before I invest one, but the hike that I'm gonna do next year, which I'm keeping secret for a little bit, is going to involve rain, and so I really need to get a good rain jacket. And then I have some extras with regard to two things that didn't work, and they did work. Number one are my trekking poles. They did work. I loved my trekking poles. My trekking poles were Trail Buddy. Buy them on Amazon. You can buy them from $30 to $40 depending on the color. I absolutely loved them. I love that they were heavier. I don't need a really light trekking pole. I love that they're heavier because I personally feel that I have more sturdiness to hold on to when I'm using them. And I loved that they came in different colors. I loved that they had a cork handle. They were really, really great trekking poles. I also used them for my tent. I had a Z-Pax duplex, and my trekking poles were perfect for, setting up my tent. Why are they in this section if they didn't work? Well, I had to get 3 pairs of trekking poles, so I guess I could have invested in a really nice, expensive pair of trekking poles. But honestly, I'm really a fan of the Trail Buddy. I love that I could get different colors. I started with blue, then got pink, and then ended up with purple. I really enjoy my Trail Buddy trekking poles. I did put them through a lot of hard work. I met another guy who still had his original poles in the 100-mile wilderness, and I'm like, how? Well, all his tips were gone. And for me, that is why I got rid of the second pairs, because one of the tips I got stuck in the ground, it bent, and then it went and did a little whoop, and I no longer could really use that trekking pole. I tried, and then eventually that little whoop fell off, and I thought to myself, well, if I'm going to hike up Mount Katahdin, as well as I'm still gonna do the 100-mile wilderness, I probably should still have some nice trekking poles. I got my 3rd pair, my purple pair, and I'm happy that I got my trekking poles. So, love the Trail Buddies, had to get 3 of them. That's why I'm saying didn't really work with regard, they didn't last the entire time, but they were really awesome. So, look into them, they're great. The second extra piece of gear that just didn't really work was my backpack. No, it worked. It was a great backpack. I only had 1 backpack. Groceries, bought 4 backpacks while she was on trail. You don't need 4 backpacks, you literally just need 1. I just needed 1 backpack. I love my backpack. I love how light it is. I love the different compartments. I do think it lasted pretty long. I did get some rips and tears in the pockets, which was really disappointing. But overall, I love my backpack, which is the Hyperlight Wind Rider, and it was a great pack. But why am I saying that it just didn't work? It just wasn't water resistant. And I'm not even saying waterproof because it was not waterproof, but it also wasn't water resistant, and I just don't get it. My stuff did not keep dry by just having my pack. Maybe it's how I folded it, maybe there's a defect in my particular backpack, but it was not water resistant, not even a little bit water resistant. I mean, not at all. So then when my friend, Mountain Laurel, visited me and went and did the Shenandoah, she, at the end of her hike, gave me her pack cover, and that was a really, really great decision. So I got a pack cover as extra protection for my backpack, and I'm really, really happy that I did. Because it really helped me feel more secure keeping my quilt dry, because that was always my worry, that my quilt would get really wet. And so I needed to get a pack cover. Hyperlight disappointed me with regard to any sort of water resistant. It just wasn't. It wasn't water resistant at all, and I really have to believe that it must have been a defect in my particular backpack, because nobody else needed a pack cover. I didn't see any Hyperlight with a pack cover. They all be like walking with their packs, feeling good. I mean, I'm asking them, is your stuff keeping dry? And they're like, yeah. What the heck? Anyway, these are the 3+2 things that just didn't work on the Appalachian Trail for me. Thank you so much for watching. I wish I would have a better background, like I would be in the woods and stuff, but I invested in a microphone, so until I have the microphone, it's gonna be in a house so you can hear me better. So you'll just have to do with the IKEA bridge that I have in my background. And so until next time, I promise the audio is going to be much better, and I'll be doing lots of gear review videos as well as what I've learned on the AT. Some of you are really interested in that. Some people want to have my stats with regard to what number I had when I started, what was my average and things like that. Be happy to go over it. I'm excited to really continue my channel. And again, as I said, I am planning hikes next year. There's a few, I already revealed one of them in some of my videos, but there's another one that I have not mentioned because I didn't really get to know about it until I came back home. So I'm super excited. It's gonna be another thru hike. So I'm excited. So stay tuned, and please let me know if you have any advice on that hyperlight and keeping it water resistant a little bit. Okay, bye.